So there's no real plan to this video. I just had an idea and decided I was going to run with it. No notes, no script, no nothing. Hello, my lovely friends. It's Margaret, and it's time to nerd out about writing. Happy Writer Wednesday, everyone. I hope your NaNoWriMo is going fantastically and not at all like mine. But hey, listen, life throws curveballs and you just gotta roll with it. This is a very impromptu video. I'm just sitting here with some tea. The secret, apparently, to getting Margaret to like tea is to mix it with hot apple juice. Anyways, so I have my tea and I have a subject that I kind of want to chat with you guys about. And this isn't a structured video like my videos usually are. I don't have like a list of bullet points. I just wanted to talk about kind of my journey as a writer, and one of the most important realizations that I had. I don't know how this is gonna go. This could be a hot mess. We're gonna try it though, because I just wanted to chat with you guys and I didn't feel like coming up with an actual script. So it's not really linked to NaNoWriMo, but kind of, because NaNoWriMo has been a part of that journey, but very loose link. But I think that it will help a lot of people, especially those of you that are newer writers and those of you that have been writing for a long time and you're kind of starting to wonder, what am I even doing with this? I have not always been as hardcore into writing as I am now. I did not always put aside the time for it. I didn't always make it a focus. I liked writing in my teens, but I was into college before I realized that I wanted to be a writer and that's what I wanted to do with my life. In fact, I was out of college, kind of. It's a very complicated story, but I treated it more as a hobby for many, many years, because I kind of felt guilty about making writing a priority in my life. And the reason that I felt guilty about it was because I had, in my opinion, nothing to show for it. I had stuff that I had worked on, stories that I had written, bad stories that I had written, glorified Lord of the Rings fan fiction. I mean, granted, the main protagonist was a female and there were at least 2 other women among my main cast. I have been writing since I was a teenager. My earliest published story is 1999. That might actually be preteen, I'm not sure. But like I said, I didn't focus on it until 2012, 2010. I would have been 23. The key shift for me was when I started calling myself a writer. If you are anything like me, you feel like you need something to show for it. You have a hard time calling yourself a writer because you're not making any money on it. That is so hard. It's so hard to say, hey, I'm a writer, but then when people go, oh, well, are you published? And you're like, no, I'm not. And so I struggled with that for a very long time, because I felt like I couldn't call myself a writer because I didn't have anything published. I didn't have anything that was out there. I didn't have anything people would know me by. And so I didn't call myself a writer. I would say I was working on a novel. I would say that I wanted to be a writer while writing a novel, but I never called myself a writer. I didn't look at it as a career. I looked at it as a hobby that maybe someday I could turn into a career. And so I realized at some point that I had to start calling myself a writer. I don't remember the exact timeline. There is probably a blog post on one of my old blogs about it. But I realized that the only thing you needed to do to be a writer was write. You didn't have to have a book published. You didn't have to have someone paying you money. And part of that realization is that so many people online will call themselves artists, rightfully so, because they are producing art. They are sketching things, they are doing commissions. It's hard when you're a writer to justify it, because you can't commission writing pieces. That's not as easy as commission. I mean, it's still hard as to be a artist and stuff, but you can't be like, hey, give me $15 and I'll do I'll write a paragraph about your OC, original character, for those of you who are like, what the heck is an OC, Margaret? Not Orange County, guys, like original character. But a lot of the time, artists online aren't getting paid for what they're doing. They're doing it because they like art and because they understand that to be good at art, you have to do art. And that fact that they're not necessarily getting paid for the practice that they're putting in, for the time that they're putting in, doesn't make them any less of an artist. They're still creating art. And I realized if I was a writer, the thing that I needed to do to be a writer was do writing. And to be a better writer, I needed to do writing. It wasn't like I could just like sit on my heels and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a writer someday and maybe I'll, like, so many things take time and effort put into them. And I was putting time and effort into being a writer. I still am putting time and effort into being a writer. Clearly, not as much as I should be, since we're not gonna talk about my word count. The thing about realizing that it was the act of writing and not the act of being published or being paid that made me a writer changed so much of my thought process as a writer. Suddenly it didn't, I mean, I still do kind of feel guilty about telling people that, hey, I have to go write, but luckily I have friends and family who are like, they understand. They understand that I have 2 jobs, basically, and I only get paid for one of them. 3 jobs if you count BookTube, but like, BookTube is kind of like my procrastinating thing. I'm building a platform here, people. I'm building a platform. It's procrastinating at its finest. So that thought shift for me was groundbreaking, because suddenly the fact that I was going to the library for hours a day, the fact that I was being like, I can't hang out tonight, I have to finish this chapter, or I am behind on NaNoWriMo. It made justifying my writing time easier. Now, granted, I am a single woman, I don't have any children, the only people I have to worry about are like my parents, and they're pretty easy to manage as long as I kind of clean the house occasionally. My time is very much my own, and so I don't have to worry about like other people. I guess what I'm saying is that you don't have to justify that you're a writer. You might not have anything that's ready for people to see, but the fact that you're working on it makes you a writer. The fact that you are putting time into this world, into these characters, into this story makes you a writer. And the same thing for if you're a blogger. Like, yeah, it's a blog and you're a blogger, but you're writing things for that blog that makes you a writer. And there's so much on the internet that we do and we don't get paid for, but just because you're not getting paid for it doesn't make it any less a part of who you are or what you are, however you want to define that. It doesn't make it any less a thing that you do. And so I guess that's just kind of what I'm here to tell you guys, is that if you write, you're a writer. And if you're a writer, then you're allowed to take time to practice your craft. You are allowed to take time to invest in your story. You are allowed to focus on this, because if you want this to be your livelihood, you're going to have to. I don't need to be like crazy rich, raking in all of the royalties. I don't need to be J.K. Rowling. That's not my goal. My goal is to someday be able to pay my bills with my writing. Like, if I can get to a point where I can pay my rent, I can pay for food, I can keep the lights on with my writing, that is going to be enough for me. I don't need to be crazy rich with it. Yeah, I guess that's what I wanted to say today. And I still have enough tea to do another video. So yeah, that's it. That's what I wanted to say today, to talk to you guys today about, you know, writing stuff today. Like I said, very impromptu video. Let me know down below, when did you start writing? How long has this been a dream of yours? If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and also subscribe. I make videos 2 to 3 times a week about books and writing, and I would love to see your lovely face here on a regular basis. Also, don't forget, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter. Those are both at the word nerd with a 3 in nerd instead of the E. That is it for now, my friends. I will see you later when we will talk about more wordy, nerdy things. Bye!